everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. We're here with Joanne Shango. She's going to enlighten us on what's going on with her Montessori and her Catholic education system.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
So, yeah, I'm with the Montessori School Crystal Lake and the Montessori School Rochester, and I was excited to come on here to talk about our new religious education program. It's a Catholic education program called the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, and we're launching it this fall.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit of the backstory of the original, and then the second, and then now the addition of, and how it came about.
Sure. The Montessori School Rochester was founded 13 years ago, and it was really about finding the right educational program for my own children. And in doing the research, we realized there was a need in Rochester for an authentic Montessori school. So we had opened the Montessori School Rochester then, and we're on South Boulevard and Livernois. It's a large campus, 8 acres that hosts 250 children from birth through elementary school. And then about 2 years ago, we started looking for a second location. We really wanted to be here more on the west side, closer to West Bloomfield, Birmingham areas where I grew up. And we found our new campus, which is the Montessori School Crystal Lake. So we opened that campus last year. We're on our second year now, and it's really exciting. That offers birth through middle school. And it's been a wonderful experience. We are just looking for the opportunity to grow our school and welcome more children from the areas of Bloomfield and Commerce and West Bloomfield and Birmingham to provide authentic Montessori for them.
So you mentioned Rochester, and then you mentioned the west side. So where's this located?
This is located, it's Pontiac, right on the Bloomfield border. We're off of Golf Drive between Telegraph and Woodward. Our backyard is literally Bloomfield. We're surrounded by the Crystal Lake Golf Course, which is where our school got its name. It's a really wonderful community, and it's 15 minutes from Birmingham, barring construction in Michigan,
Yeah.
but you know, that's a lifestyle. And it's a great location. The city of Pontiac has been wonderful. The city of Bloomfield has been fantastic as well. Working with the Chamber of Birmingham and Bloomfield has been fantastic for our school and our ability to just really become part of the communities here that surround Crystal Lake.
Nice. So how would you get there from Woodward?
From Woodward, you would go up to South Boulevard. You just pass the hospital, and you turn left on South Boulevard, and you go down half a mile, I think. Just past that M1 concourse.
Okay.
We're just past that. We're half a mile from the M1 concourse, and it's on your left-hand side, right across from, if you're golfers, literally right across from the Crystal Lake Golf Course.
Okay, and how big is that campus?
It's 12 acres
Wow.
and 55,000 square feet. It has, I think, 28 classrooms and really has the ability to host about 500 students there. And it's truly fantastic. It's an old building. I always refer to this building as male. He just has got strong, bones, and versus our Rochester campus, she's very female. It's a really old historic building. This building was actually, its roots were in the faith as well. It was a Baptist college since the late 60s, I believe. And then for a short period of time, it was a charter school. And then we walked in, and I'll say for me, it just felt like the right location. We walked in, and part of the windows has a large cross in it, like just built in the way the beams of the windows are.
Beautiful.
And it was just like we walked in, and we were in this huge college gym because it was a college prior, and you're in there, and there's some stained glass, and you've got the light was shining in, and my husband and I just looked, and we're like, it's everywhere. Like, it's just like, this is the work that we've done in Montessori has always been more of a calling for us, or for myself in particular, on what we're supposed to do. In this campus, we've looked at so many, and this campus just it didn't just tick all the boxes. It felt right when we were in there. It felt like, okay, this is where we're meant to be.
Beautiful. Were you able to retain the gym? Is the gym is
Yeah,
preserved it?
it's a fantastic gym. It's huge. It is a collegiate gym. They used it for collegiate basketball, and it's there and in use. And my husband thinks it's the best part of the school. Weird. And
Yeah.
for us, for our students, they get to have, physical education classes in there. And there's also a stage inside of the gym. So we do performances through our music and drama program there as well.
How many students are enrolled in this school currently?
Currently, we have 75 students at the Crystal Lake campus. There's 250 students in the Rochester Hills campus. We're growing, and we have room for all of your children.
Yeah. And so what would somebody expect when when enrolling their child? What kind of curriculum, what kind of activities, how would they compare it to a public school or a private Catholic school?
Yeah, academically, you'll get the same academics. The biggest difference between Montessori and more traditional learning, whether it's Catholic schools or public schools or other prep schools, is Montessori is very experiential. It's really about being able to understand the function of what they're learning, what the process is about, how it's applied versus the product. So we're not just learning facts. They're going more in depth. They're pulling things apart. They're putting them back together. I would say, especially like when I describe math, they're learning the function of numbers, not just how to calculate numbers. And with that is a deeper level of analytical thinking, that logical thinking and problem solving, and through that emerges creative thinking.
Right.
And creativity isn't just the artist or the poet or the dancer or the musician. Creativity is the doctor, it's the scientist, it's people that come across something and think, what else can I do with it? How do I become a part of it and make it something new? And that's what we need in all areas of our world, particularly now.
Yeah, that's a fact. Let's talk about the most exciting part of the whole reason why we're sitting here today, the Catholic component of the school.
Yeah, so being a devout Catholic, it's always been important to me in education. Years ago, when we were raising our children when they were younger, we always thought that we would send them to Catholic school, and yet I was a Montessori teacher, and we were opening a Montessori school, and I had to start to think, like, I can offer that life of faith in our homes and in catechism classes, communion classes, through church, but I couldn't do Montessori elsewhere. And so we ended up focusing on Montessori education, and yet it was always in the back of my mind, how can I bring the faith into the school? I always wanted that for my children, and I had grown up being part of the church. I was a catechism teacher, a communion teacher, I was a catechist. I think I was a church board member at one point.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things in the church. I
Yeah.
was part of founding KUWTC. I did all of those kinds of things. And so I was looking at traditional ways of, like, maybe we can have catechism classes in the school. And yet our focus was really on developing Montessori. And then a couple of years ago, my sister actually got involved with St. Thomas Church in building the preschool that is now the St. Thomas Preschool.
Okay.
She was working with Father Pierre, and they opened it as a Montessori school. And so I started working with her on how to really implement a Catholic education program. And we came across a program called the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, which is a Montessori-based Catholic program. And what many people don't know is that Maria Montessori was a devout Catholic, and she actually wrote quite a few books on children in the church. One of the books I think is titled Children in the Church, and other books that really talked about developing a religious life for children. However, she died before that work was complete. She did work with two women. One was a theologian named Sophia Cavalletti, and the other was Gianna Gobi. And Gianna Gobi was actually Maria Montessori's, one of her assistants in some of the classrooms that she worked in and really developing programs. And so they continued that work after Maria Montessori passed away, and they created a Montessori-based Catholic education program. And it's absolutely beautiful. So in helping Jamie and Father Pierre with the St. Thomas Preschool, bringing that Catholic education component that goes beyond prayer and is an introduction to Catholic life, to the Mass, to the scriptures and the parables, to a real relationship with Jesus, making concrete the notion of God into something that children can experience in a very tangible way, and a real understanding of the Mass. So in doing that with them, I just thought I can do this at our school. We have an international school. It's wonderful. The basis of the Montessori school, Crystal Lake and Rochester, is peace education, which for me is what the Catholic faith is really all about. And now to have an avenue to be able to offer Catholic education in our school, watching and seeing it unfold at St. Thomas, just put me on a direct mission to offer that at our schools.
Nice. So you said peace and tangible. What's the tangible part and what's the peace part? Explain. Drill down into those two.
Absolutely, thank you. Peace education is really about fostering within children this idea that you can work together with others and feel a true peace in your heart, to be able to take the time to understand who people are and offer to them the best gifts of yourself, and so that we're working in collaboration with others versus in conflict. Peace education is a more effective way of resolving conflicts so that they do not become aggressive in nature, to be able to communicate, to be able to share ideas, to be able to say, I respect what you're saying. My I statement is different. My I statement is this. So to be able to stay true to yourself without being influenced by others in a negatively impactful way, to have that sense of self and be able to stay true to that. The second
tangible.
one, the tangible. In regards to the catechesis of the Good Shepherd, to make tangible the relationship with God and with Jesus is to have a real understanding and experience with the church, the Mass, as well as the Bible. And when you're making it tangible, imagine walking into a space, it's called the atrium in the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, and it's not to replace church. It's an opportunity to make smaller, to the hands of the child, the experiences that we witness when we're in church. And when it's made tangible, where there's a prayer table, there's actually an altar, there's the opportunity to literally take the vestments that the priest wears, to explore them, to be able to understand what the colors are for, what they represent, to have those experiences, to be able to hold a chalice that's a child-sized hand, made for the child's hands, and the paten. I mean, have we ever touched the paten or the chalice, right? But for them to actually be able to experience it, to understand the gestures of the priest, to be able to read and practice those things, so that when the priest is up there and they're in church, they're not just witnessing, they become part of the experience. It's something that is now real to them. When they're learning about the parables, they're creating the story. They're not just reading the story. They're a part of it, and it's something that now becomes concrete. It's not something that the priests or mom or dad say, we must pray and Jesus is out there. Instead, they're developing this relationship that says to them, every time they walk into the atrium or the prayer room, as they call it at St. Thomas, they light a candle. The teacher lights a candle for them and says, Jesus said, and they would name him, so they would say, Anthony, Jesus said, you are the light of the world. And there's this candle, and the child is focusing on the candle, and all of other noise in the world kind of fades away because there's a focus, which then allows for a real experience to the story, the parable that they're experiencing, or the work with the altar that they're practicing becomes their primary focus, which means the noise is absent, and therefore the relationship truly grows because they feel that true connection. Jesus is actually speaking to them.
Well, that's very deep, very deep. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's extraordinary because it's deep as we talk about it, but it's so natural for the way children explore. It's what we do in the Montessori classroom. We're not just teaching 2 plus 3, they're working with beads. They're seeing how numbers come apart and how they form and come together. It's the same thing. They're actually pulling the story apart. There's little dolls and there's a diorama, and they're walking through the story as the teacher is reading the story, and then they're able to go back to it over and over again. It's not a one-time lesson. They go to the shelf and they can take that work off of the shelf, and they become naturally connected to it. It becomes their connection, not through the adult as the intermediary that's saying, to be a good Catholic, you must do this. To be a good Catholic, it's more than that. And it's done in stages based on their development and their ability to understand.
And I think it helps with younger people, students, that when they're at the Mass or in church, during Mass, they can listen more now because they're not so curious about everything else, that the surroundings, because they've been educated on it.
Correct.
It helps.
Yeah, they're understanding what's actually happening.
Right.
And it's really, really extraordinary to witness the transformation for the children.
Oh, so you mentioned your sister working with St. Thomas. You also worked with.
Correct. So in beginning this journey, I reached out to Bishop Francis. I've known Bishop Francis for very long time, for a very long time. We don't want to talk about our age. I reached out to Bishop Francis to really talk about what it would mean to have a Chaldean Catholic education program in an elementary school. They were already doing it at St. Thomas. So what could that possibly look like? And he really was interested in the model and gave his support. Maybe it's not fair to say approval. It felt like approval to me. But he was really excited and gave his blessing. Maybe that's the better term for it. He gave his blessing for us to have the program, and connected me, gave approval for me to work with Father John at St. George Church. For this program, Father John has agreed, with the blessing of Bishop Francis, to offer Mass to the participants of the Catholic Catechesis program at both locations, at the Rochester Hills campus as well as the Crystal Lake campus. So it's really going to add just a very important component for me as a Catholic, but as a Chaldean Catholic, to be able to have that relationship and perspective, our Mass, available for the students that do the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd program at the Montessori schools, Rochester and Crystal Lake.
Very nice. And who else do you keep in contact with at St. Thomas?
Who else do I keep in contact with?
Or what other priests do you?
Well, Father Pierre has been very instrumental on creating that first Chaldean church preschool with my sister, Jamie.
Okay.
Jamie, her mama, is the director of that program, and that is a church program. That program was developed by St. Thomas Church, and Father Pierre is the overall director of the program and works with Jamie they work together at the St. Thomas Preschool with a group of amazing Chaldean women who are becoming Montessorians and really stepping into the opportunity to offer Montessori and Catholic education at the same time for the students at that church. Working in collaboration with St. Thomas, with Father Pierre, with Jamie in both the Montessori as well as the Catechesis program. as we develop the catechesis program on our campus simultaneously. We both just started it this year. And so those partnerships, I think, are really valuable. There's been great opportunities for us to work together. I offer professional development for their teams. Jamie does the same for us at our school. We're collaborating as much as we can in regards to really offering the best in Montessori education and Catholic education inside of the same model.
When does all this kick off, or has it already?
Yeah, so at St. Thomas, they've already kicked it off. They started theirs, I believe, I want to say a week or two ago. Jamie opened their prayer room. We are starting ours at the end of October.
And so you have students in the school now,
Correct.
and they will be a part of the program?
The students that register for the catechesis program, so what's different about our program at the Montessori schools, Rochester and Crystal Lake, is we are offering it as a elective where students can sign up for it. The students that sign up for it will be using the program the same way they're using it at St. Thomas. It's actually designed to be a separate class than what's happening in the Montessori classroom. Maria Montessori really felt that academic life and spiritual life both needed 100% focus. So to be able to have the experience of the atrium or prayer room as something separate where there isn't a distraction of other things, so that their entire being and spirit is then focused on that spiritual and religious life, church life formation. So what happens at our school, as they do actually at St. Thomas, the difference is only the students that register for the Catholic education program will be invited to those classes. They happen during the school day, but it's separate from the actual classroom. So they go down to the atrium, as it's called, and they spend an hour a couple of times a week having a full immersion in the catechesis.
Gotcha. So to those that tried to get their children, elementary aged children, into a Catholic school and couldn't, what is the enrollment process with you, and do you offer tours and open houses and all of that stuff?
Absolutely. So your first step is to go to our website, which is themsr.net, and you can
Spell
schedule
that out.
the like THE,
Yep.
and then M Montessori School Rochester.net. And we'll have to update that, won't we, with Crystal Lake now? But the msr.net, and you could schedule a tour. We offer small group and private tours. That's your first step. You get to walk in, you get to experience Montessori life and what it will look like for your elementary age or middle school child, as well as your preschoolers or infants inside of our school. And if you indicate your interest in the Catholic education program, we will then give you a tour of that program as well. It's a great alternative, especially right now where Catholic schools have wait lists. It's really hard to be able to make the decisions you want to make or need to make for your children when there isn't space out there.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot. Is there a component we did not cover that you want to mention, or?
I think what I'd like to mention is so often we have families that start with us in Montessori education, and then they sit in that conflict space that I talked about for myself 15 years ago, which is, if I want Catholic education, do I have to give up the Montessori that my children have been truly thriving in? And the answer now is no, you don't have to do that. Both are available in our school, and you get to now offer the best of both worlds without compromise. And I can't say it doesn't feel like a compromise sometimes. Over the years, it did. I felt like, wow, I would meet so many families, so many parents, Chaldean families and parents, that ultimately by the time their children are in first grade, they're like, we really feel we need that Catholic education. And now we don't have to compromise. We have the ability to offer both. And and the response of the parents. She's been giving presentations of what she does in the program to the parents as well, and she says the kids are soaking it up, even the children that are the most
Outgoing or introverted?
outgoing and
Okay.
introverted, but
Okay.
those really busy children that
Okay.
it feels like
Yeah.
in the classroom you're like, just sit. Can you
Yeah.
sit for a couple of minutes? I have something really important to show you. They walk into the atrium and that first candle gets lit and something just transforms in that child. And
beautiful.
it's hard to describe it. The children have to experience it and the parents have to witness it. But what Jamie was talking about is the parents and her Montessori teachers, who this concept of this catechesis program, which is different than the catechism classes that you or I might have experienced at church, or the religion classes that I took when I was in Catholic school growing up. This is, because it's more experiential, the parents and the teachers, where this felt foreign, they're just amazed by the depth of knowledge even their 3-year-olds are coming home to, that is, from what the parents are reporting, deeper in the children's understanding and their joy of talking about it than their kids who go to Catholic schools, their older children that go to Catholic schools. And I don't think at this point we can pay enough or even risk waiting any longer to protect our children and their real relationship with Jesus, which then allows them to be that potential for the change we desperately need to see in the world.
Sure. Now, what about the people that thought they were going to get into the Catholic school and didn't? Is it too late for them to uproot their kids and bring them to you?
I think it is never too late.
Never too late, okay.
And we are currently enrolling. We definitely have space in our elementary programs for any elementary age student, kindergarten through grade 8 middle school. In addition, on our Rochester campus, we have, I think, 6 spots that we just opened up for preschool. And on our Crystal Lake campus, we actually have spaces available for toddlers and preschoolers, as well as our elementary and middle school. It's not too late. You could take a tour today. You can actually take a tour today. We have tours available this afternoon, and register your children within a week to be able to make that real difference for them that you're seeking.
Is there a phone number that they can reach out to just to make it easier for those who aren't so computer savvy? Yeah, internet savvy.
Internet savvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can call the school at 248-453-5757, and the receptionist will connect you to
Just
the
tell them what
correct
you're looking for.
campus.
Say, hey, I'm looking to get a tour. I saw the big wig on Keeping Up with the Chaldeans, and I'd like to schedule a time to come in and take a tour, right?
Absolutely, it's worth the visit,
Okay.
and you just might walk away after an hour feeling transformed with a hope for your children that maybe you weren't sure you could find anymore.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us again, and thanks for this information, and thanks for taking a step, or a giant step, in the direction of one thing that I've always wanted, was a Catholic Chaldean school. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that fantastic news.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it, to be able to collaborate on any level with our church and with Bishop Francis and Father John. Just brings this, it just tells me this isn't my work, this is the work that God's calling me to do, and now we have a real avenue and opportunity. It feels fantastic. I want to see a Chaldean Catholic school, and maybe this is the first step.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.